to Julie's Wreath Boutique. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to learn how to make this beautiful flower wreath. I'm going to show you how to do the double fuse technique, and we have some different directions of these petals that we're doing, just something a little different this time, but I appreciate you coming and let's make a wreath. Testing 1 2 1 2. So how are we going to cut our poly burlap mesh? Well, I took two colors and I'm using a turquoise and a yellow. So I have my yellow underneath and my turquoise over the top. I've already cut one edge, and so as you can see, what it does is it fuses it together. So that's what I really like about this wreath, is that we've got, oh, you can pull it apart, so just know that. So we'll cut this again. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a wood burner, and I'm just going to finish this edge. I want to reseal it because I kind of pulled it apart. So you can pull this apart, just so you know. So we're just going to take it, and I'm going to go over top very slowly, a little bit slower than I normally would. And it's impossible to make sure you line these up correctly. So I kind of concentrate on the top part of the mesh, so I go in between the lines. And so what that does is it melts the two pieces of poly burlap together, like it would if you use like a poly burlap and a deco poly mesh or something like this. So what I want to do is I want to cut all of my pieces in 10-inch widths. So I'm going to measure it here. And this is like a piece of glass that I'm cutting on. Both this wood burner and this glass is in my Amazon shop. So if you're looking for something, you can just look in the description box below and you will find my affiliate links in my Amazon shop. So I'm going to just keep going through here, and I'm going to show you right now, I'll put this to the side, that the top part I went through. If you look here, I was able to keep that line straight. Now, if you turn it over, I did not, as you can see, okay? Because you can't really see, you can't really line it up as well. But what I liked about this technique was I had to get a new roll of my turquoise, but I was able to use a roll that just has a little bit of poly burlap on it. And sometimes when you get down to the end of the roll, it gets really tight. And so what I like about this is it kind of stretches your petal out a little bit. It makes it a little bit more flatter to work with and easier to work with. So I'm going to cut all these out, and then we're going to get started on our wreath. All right, so let's get started putting our wreath together. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use a 10-inch wreath form. You could use a 12-inch, an 8-inch, a 14-inch would make a really big flower, but I really like the size of the 10-inch wreath form. So all I do is I've got this plastic canvas already cut out. I just line it with the inside frame out of plastic canvas. It's nice and bendable. I do purchase mine from like Hobby Lobby. You can get it at Joann's. I'm not sure that Michael's has it or not. But I also get mine at consumercrafts.com, just like I get my wreath frame. So all I do is I cut out a piece to go in the middle of our frame here, and then I just will take my 4-inch zip ties and go through here and just connect it like this. There's just nothing to this part. It's very easy and simple to do, and it's just a very inexpensive way to make a wreath, because a lot of products in it, you don't want it to be too expensive to make. So I really like it, and there's nothing you can't do on this frame. So as you can see, I'm almost done, and we'll be ready to go. Oops, that one got away from me there. So take one more, and then I'm going to show you the petal. So that's how you prep your frame. And most of all of my wreaths, I do this, not every single wreath. It depends, really depends on the petal I'm using, and it depends on what the middle I'm using for the frame, for the flower. So I'm going to put this to the side. So what we're going to do is, as I showed you before, I just took two pieces of 10-inch poly burlap, and kind of what gave me the idea, this is my double, let's see my fused double petal method. I showed you this in a previous video where I showed you how to do this with deco poly mesh and poly burlap mesh. So I thought tonight, you know what, I have leftover turquoise, and I love turquoise and yellow together. I just feel like it just reminds me of sunshine. So I'm going to just take my petals that we have fused together. As you can see here, we've fused those together. They're pretty much attached, and this is what's going to help keep your ends from fraying as well. I think that you'll really like this method. So we're just going to meet in the middle, and this will form a thicker and more sturdier petal for us. So we're just going to gather it like so. I'm going to turn it over, and I know that usually I'll bend it up and we'll put one petal over the other, but I don't want to do that because I just want this to kind of fill out. And I just want to simply pinch it at the bottom there. So I'm going to take my zip ties here. I've got several different kind here. And I'm going to go on this bracket. Now we have 5 brackets on a 10-inch wreath form. This is 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we have our brackets. So between 1 and 2, I'm going to take my zip tie, and I'm going to go in between on that bracket, okay? So as you can see right there. And I'm just going to lay my petal right here. So this is a little different. I'm not, you know, laying this petal over top of the other one. I want it to kind of, you know, do its thing and kind of spread out for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around and I'm going to do each of these bars or brackets, I guess is what I call it. Put this through here. And I'm just going to do the same petal technique over and over. All right, so we have all of our 5 petals down, and I kind of wish, I know I say this before, and I will say this again, I wish you were here in my room with me because I feel like the colors, the yellow pops through this turquoise so nicely. But what we're going to do is we're going to do something a little different. We're going to use bar 2, okay, so I'm going to just take one of my zip ties and just kind of lay it there. And what I'm going to do is normally we would, you know, go with our curved side up. We're going to do the opposite, okay? Because the way we cut this, we cut the yellow poly burlap under the turquoise, okay? And so I'm going to flip it over. Make sure you can see it right here, okay? And I'm going to bring it in like so, like we would do a normal petal, but we flip this over so the natural curve is going underneath this petal. All right, so you're going to see the difference when we bring it up. You're going to see, we're going to do the same thing we did with the other one, but you're going to see that this petal is going to just kind of have this little curve, and it's just going to give it a different shape. So I'm just going to pinch it. I'm going to take my frame, and we're going to go under wire 2. And we're going to keep it in between the 2 bracketed petals that we've already done. So when you see it, it's just going to curve up. It's just going to give it a little bit of a different dimension, I guess is what I want to say. You know how petals will go different ways on a flower. So that's what we're going to do. Let's do another one. Grab a petal here. So normally we would do it this way, but we're going to switch it. So we're just going to lay it flat. You're going to have to work with it a little bit. Bring it in, fold it over, and then gather. And then we're going to make our petal. Okay, and so we're going to just pinch it and lay it on that second bar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go through here and add 3 more of these petals. So I want that to kind of lay that way. And it just has a different look to it. I'm not sure if you can see it, if you can kind of appreciate it. with this camera view, but as we go, you're going to see you know, the creation of it and how it's just kind of different than other petals that we've done before. So stay tuned, we'll be back. All right, so we have basically our first layer of petals done, and we have like different directions that we're going in. So the next layer of petals that we're going to do, we are going to take another double layer of burlap, here our poly burlap. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use the grid here now. And what I want to do is I want to put 2 petals in between. So I'm going to just take the grid and I'm going to run my zip tie nearest the bracket and come through. Okay, so that's what I've done. I'm going to just do what we did, the initial brackets that we did, where we just took it the natural curved side up, and we're just going to make our petal, and we're going to do the same thing. I don't want to overlap them. I want this to kind of spread out, and we're going to just pinch it, and we're going to put it right in between. Just make that nice and tight. Okay, so I'm going to do one more. Take another zip tie. Have it sitting and waiting for me. And again, the rolled side up, meet in the middle. Going to just turn it over, and we're going to form the petal, but we're not going to overlap our petals, okay? This is really thick too. When you use this type of a method, it really thickens up the petal and what you're doing. So, all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep doing that and add 2 for each section, and I'll be right back. So I'm going to show you the last petal that I'm going to put in here, just because I want to make sure that you're really sure about all your petal placements. So as I can show you here, I put 10 petals, not 8. Got to get my math right. So I'm going to just put my zip tie in here, okay? And we're just going to make our petal. Now, here's the key. When you're laying the petal inside here, it really does create lots of volume with the double fused petal technique that you're going to use here. But this last petal that's going to be above the one we're putting in, we're going to make sure that this petal goes over top of the petal that we're putting in. So do you see how I made sure that that petal is going to go over top? So when we do that, then this petal naturally goes over top of the next one. So as you can see, we've got all of our inside petals here, and I will be right back. All right, so let's prep the middle of our wreath now. And I'm going to use this pre-made flower center, and you can find these online. There are several places you can find them online. I'm not aware if they're in stock right now, but they usually come in stock. The wreathshop.com is a place that I like to order from, and I will leave my affiliate link for them down below. craftoutlet.com and trendytree.com are also places where you can find these specially made centers for flower wreaths. That's what I love about it. It's like it's made for a flower wreath. So how do we attach this? This is, I believe this is about almost a 7-inch. Let's see here. Yeah, it's about a 7-inch diameter center. And when it gets warmer in Michigan, it's in December, it's the day after Christmas here. So when it gets warmer, I'm going to teach you how to make something that's similar to this in the yellow. I've showed you how to do something with the green moss and the brown moss, and I will link those videos below for you to see. So I do this a lot. I just take a wire, and I had to cut some because I didn't have the straight ones that I usually have. And I'm going to go in between here, and I'm going to go at an angle with some floral picks. And you can even, you know what I'm going to show you, if you want to, you can make these much shorter and they will still work. If you just cut them like that. Because you don't want them to show, I'm still going to go at an angle, you don't want them to come through there. So I'm going to cut a few more. I'm going to put my fingers here because they will go flying across the room, which happens. So we're going to just secure it like this. And then you're going to take your glue gun. And I'm just going to take a piece of felt. I'm going to use this turquoise felt because that's what we're going to put on the back of our wreath. And I'm going to put it over top of that. All right, so one more step. I'm then going to just take some nice pens here, and I'm going to go at an angle here. And because there's glue underneath that felt, it's just going to help secure it even more. And you could even cut these pens a little bit more too. So that will be for the center. So we're going to let this dry, and I'm going to show you how to put the leaves on this flower. Okay, so now I'm going to put some leaves on the back of this wreath, and I'm just going to simply pull this over, going to lay it on its back here or on the front of it. I just cut 10-inch pieces of green poly burlap. And we're simply going to do the same thing we would do with a normal petal, but this one is going to be a leaf, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to hold it like that. And I'm going to take my zip tie and I'm going to go underneath here, bar 1 and bar 2, okay? So we're going to go through 2 of those. And I'm going to put it in between right there. So what I want to do is I want to just make sure that I pull this pretty good, and then I'll pull it back that way. And this will allow the green just to kind of peek out just a little bit. So what we want to do, find where you put the first one in correlation with a bracket. So I did it about 1.5 inches over. So I'm going to go to the next bracket, and we're going to do it about 1.5 inches over. And we're going to, that way we keep our spacing pretty consistent. So we're going to lay our zip tie there. We're going to make our petal. And we're going to make it, and it's going to go in between. We're not going to fold the petal up like we would do a normal petal because this is a leaf. And I'm going to just zip tie it. And I want that leaf to stay on the outside of that first wire, the number 1 wire. So we're going to just, I pull it this way and then I pull it this way, okay? The zip tie. So I'm going to just keep doing that all the way through, and then our middle will be ready to put in. All right, so we have our leaves on, and I just kind of feel like once it's up on the door, it's just going to add that little pop of color. And I just like the green with all of these really pretty tones. So now our center is nice and dry, so I'm just going to take the wires, and I'm just simply going to go through. And let me tell you, you could add another set of petals in the middle if you wanted to use something smaller. You could even just get a foam from the Dollar Tree, the flat circular ones that I use, and you could just paint it yellow, and that would look really pretty too. So, but today we're going to do it with what I have on hand, and I had one of these, and I thought I'm going to go ahead and use it. So I'm just going to take this, and I am going to go through that plastic canvas with the 2 wires. You've seen me do this before. Okay, I specialize in flower wreaths. If this is the first time you're watching, thank you so much for watching. If you're on Facebook, I have a Wreath Creators and More group that if you love to craft, any type of craft, we'd love to have you join. So you're just going to pull that through, and I'm just going to take it and twist it a few times. So as I was saying, I do have a Facebook group. I have a business page. I'm on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, hop over there and follow me there. And I just love to teach you guys how to make pretty things. I also have like these premium wreath tutorials that are a little bit more, just the techniques that are used in them are different. And I do sell a more produced video, and I have groups for some of those as well. So all the links to that is below as well. So I'm going to just I cut off my wires, and then I just take the wires and I just simply bend them back through so there's nothing that's coming up through there. So what I do to finish this off is I take a piece of felt, and I'm going to take a pair of scissors, and of course they're there. Sometimes you know how you can't find what you need. So all I do is I take it and I go, just put a hole in it. And I will take a 4-inch, let's turn this over. It's got a little bit of burlap debris on it. And I'm going to attach it to that wire frame. And I will simply just go around and do that all the way around, and then just tuck that underneath. So that way that it covers the back of your wreath and just really gives it a nice, pretty look. So, but that is our wreath. I'm just going to kind of fluff these petals back up. That kind of got flattened out a little bit. You're just always going to work with it. But this is the double fuse. Okay, I want to make sure you guys can see that. I love how these petals are coming up. It just kind of gives it a little different look. But this is what it will look like. You could use any kind of colors together. Don't be afraid to experiment with creativity. So how many petals did we use? We did 10 sets of petals on the outside and then 10 sets of petals on the inside. So all in all, with the 2 different colors, that's like 40 petals, but we cut it only 20 times, okay? Because those petals are together like this. So if you watched from the beginning, you saw that, and that way that makes your double fused petal. And I just really like this new technique, and it's just going to keep your edges from fraying as much. And then we did 5 10-inch petals for the leaves that are going to be underneath, and when you see it in the picture, I'm sure it will like pop up a little bit better. But this is the finished product. I really appreciate you staying with me this long. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me a sunshine emoji to let me know that you made it this far. I appreciate your time, and I hope you enjoyed learning something new with Julie's Wreath Boutique. Until next time, we'll see you then.